This is National Native News. I'm Antonia Gonzalez. A bill that directs the South Dakota Attorney General to collect information on missing and murdered Indigenous people is now one step from the governor's desk. Lee Strubinger has more.
Native American women experience some of the highest rates of homicide in the United States, and data on missing and murdered Indigenous people is either difficult to gather or non-existent. A House panel is again passing a bill that requires the Department of Criminal Investigation to gather information on missing and murdered Indigenous people. State Representative Tamara St. John says this bill is not about pointing fingers, but addresses a larger issue.
Some of these things just happen because of how things are on the tribe, on tribal reservation lands jurisdictionally. There's questions. Who has jurisdiction? Who's responsible? I think we as tribal people need to know who we call and who's in charge of getting us information.
South Dakota Attorney General Jason Raumsberg says he supports the bill and has been meeting with tribal governments. The effort to collect data on missing and murdered Indigenous people isn't stopping at the state level. It's part of a larger effort to get the federal, state, and tribal governments to communicate. Chante Hart is an enrolled member of the Rosebud Sioux tribe and lives in Rapid City. Hart is a community organizer. She says tribal governments are passing similar bills.
I'm really proud of the Rosebud Sioux tribe and the Yankton Sioux tribe for also passing this bill in their tribal government as well. But I think that this needs to be looked at as a national tragedy, not just a community issue, but it's happening all over the place, and so it needs to be looked at as that.
This bill now heads to the House floor.
That was Lee Strubinger reporting. The owners of one of the West's largest coal-fired power plants have reached an impasse in talks with the Navajo Nation to buy the facility. Arizona Public Radio's Ryan Heinches reports officials say they'll continue to move forward with decommissioning.
The Navajo Generating Station on the Navajo Nation in northern Arizona employs hundreds of tribal members and provides tens of millions of dollars in Navajo government revenue. The plant's owners plan to close NGS in December as coal-produced energy has become less economical. For several months, the tribe has negotiated to buy the power plant, as well as the nearby Peabody Energy-owned mine that supplies it. But last week, the plant's owners announced they'll proceed with decommissioning. Talks broke down with Navajo officials over who would be responsible for future liability and the eventual cleanup of the area. Navajo Transitional Energy Company officials who've been negotiating the deal say they'll continue the talks and believe an agreement can be reached. Navajo environmental activists applaud the plant's closure and say NGS is responsible for generations of contamination on tribal lands. For National Native News, I'm Ryan Heinches in Flagstaff.
Congresswomen Deb Haaland and Sharice Davids have introduced a resolution recognizing Native American women for Women's History Month in March. It honors the heritage, culture, and contributions of American Indian, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian women. The resolution also calls attention to some challenges they face, including wage gap disparities and violence. The Alaska legislature has passed a citation honoring Tlingit Code Talkers for their service in World War II. It posthumously honors 5 Tlingit Code Talkers. Some Native leaders and family members were in attendance for the session. Congress awarded the Tlingit Code Talkers with silver medals in 2013. I'm Antonia Gonzalez.
National Native News is produced by Koahnic Broadcast Corporation with funding by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
For Native Americans affected by domestic violence, the Strong Hearts Native Helpline offers peer-to-peer support and resources. It's safe, confidential, and toll-free at 844-7-NATIVE. Program support by the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center.
My day one.
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 Day one. Telling inspiring stories of alcohol recovery. Recovery works. Hope starts here. Go to recoveralaska.org to learn more.
Native Voice One, the Native American Radio Network.